You are going to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars in your lifetime. Most of it will disappear, and you'll never find it on any bank statement. Right now, somewhere in your financial life, there is a leak. Not the obvious kind. Not the kind your bank flags or your credit score catches. The quiet kind. The kind that costs you $50 here, $300 there. Until one day you look up and realize you've been working hard for years, and you're still standing in almost the same spot. And the most frustrating part? You're not doing anything wrong on the surface. You pay your bills. You avoid missing payments. You tell yourself you'll start saving once things calm down a little. You're doing exactly what being responsible is supposed to look like. And yet the money keeps disappearing. That's not a coincidence. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 financial traps that are specifically engineered to feel harmless, even smart, while they quietly drain your wealth month after month. One of them is almost certainly happening to you right now. One of them gets worse the more successful you become. And one of them is quietly stealing years of your financial future every single day you put it off. Once you see all 3, you cannot unsee them. Stay until the third one because that's the most expensive mistake on this entire list, and it's the one almost nobody talks about. Let's go. Number 1. The minimum payment illusion. There's one line on a credit card statement that the bank spends an enormous amount of money making sure you look at. Not your interest rate. Not your total balance. This one. Minimum payment due. And that number is one of the most expensive things you'll ever read. Not because it's large. Because it's small. Because it feels like help. Like someone sitting next to you saying, "Hey, don't stress this month. Just pay this and you're doing fine." Here's what's actually happening in your brain when you see that number. There's a psychological effect called anchoring. That small number becomes your reference point without you realizing it. Suddenly, paying anything above the minimum feels like you're going above and beyond, even when paying more is exactly what you need to do. And the bank knows this. They designed that number specifically to feel like safety. It isn't. Here's the real picture. Say you have $5,000 on a card charging 20% interest. That's not an unusual situation. Millions of people are living it right now. You decide to be responsible. Pay the minimum every month. Never miss a payment. Here's what actually happens to that debt. It doesn't take 1 year to clear. It doesn't take 2. If you stick to the minimum, it can take you over 20 years to pay off. And by the time you're done, you may have paid close to $10,000 or more for purchases that are long gone. Think about what you bought. That emergency car repair? Fixed years ago. That vacation? A memory. That appliance? Probably replaced. But the payment for all of it? Still arriving. Every month. Like a subscription to something you never wanted. That's what the minimum payment quietly does. It turns temporary debt into a permanent monthly expense. Now here's where it gets better. You don't need more income to break this trap. You don't need a financial advisor. You just need to stop treating the minimum payment like a destination. Think of it as the emergency exit. It exists for when life genuinely leaves you no other choice. Not as a strategy. Because here's what most people never realize. Paying just $50 more than your minimum every month doesn't just save you $50. On a $5,000 balance at 20%, it can cut years off your timeline and save you thousands in interest you'll never have to pay. Not a raise. Not a bonus. $50 more a month. That's a decision your future self will remember even when your present self can barely feel it. But I want to be honest with you. This trap catches you when money is tight. The next one, smarter than that. It waits until things start going well. Number 2. The lifestyle creep ambush. You got the raise. Finally. For a few days you feel it. The relief. The pride. You've been working for this. You said yes when you wanted to say no. You stayed late when everyone else went home. You earned it. Then something almost invisible starts happening. The apartment you've lived in comfortably for 3 years suddenly starts feeling too small. The car that's gotten you everywhere without a single problem starts looking like something you should upgrade. The phone you loved last year somehow feels embarrassing. Nothing actually changed. The apartment didn't shrink. The car didn't break down. The phone still works perfectly. The only thing that changed was the number on your paycheck. But now the world is reflecting that number back at you. In the ads that follow you. In what your coworkers drive. In the restaurants your friends suggest. In the voice in your head that says, "You've earned something better now." This is called lifestyle creep. And it might be the most psychologically sophisticated financial trap that exists. Because it doesn't feel like a trap. Feels like reward. Feels like progress. Feels like finally giving yourself permission to live the way you've always meant to. Here's the problem. Every time your income goes up and your lifestyle immediately follows, you reset your baseline. What felt like luxury last year becomes normal this year. And normal, by definition, stops feeling good. So you need the next upgrade. The next apartment. The next car. The next trip. Your income keeps climbing. And your spending keeps following. And the gap between them, the gap where wealth actually gets built, stays the same. You probably know someone who looks like this from the outside. The SUV. The vacations. The restaurants. The watch. Looks wealthy from every angle. Then one unexpected expense shows up. One lost job. One medical bill. And that entire picture starts cracking. Because what looked like wealth was actually just income wearing expensive clothes. This is the distinction that changes everything. Income is what comes in. Wealth is what stays. If every dollar you earn immediately leaves to fund a bigger lifestyle, your income grows. Your freedom doesn't. You end up running faster on the same treadmill. Now, here's the behavioral insight that makes this fixable. Your brain adapts. Whatever you buy within a few weeks or months, it becomes your new normal. The dopamine spike fades. The excitement disappears. The payment stays. But here's the flip side. If your brain adapts to upgrades, it will also adapt to not upgrading. And the people who quietly build real wealth, not the ones who look wealthy. They've figured out one habit that sounds almost offensively simple. When their income goes up, they pretend it didn't. Not permanently. Just for 60 days. No upgrades. No reward purchases. No convincing yourself it's just this once. That extra income gets directed somewhere before your lifestyle even notices it exists. An investment account. Extra debt payments. An emergency fund. Anything that grows instead of disappears. Here's what happens during those 60 days that nobody tells you. The urge to spend gets quieter. The emotional rush fades. And you realize something that changes how you see money forever. You stop making financial decisions because you feel like it. And you start making them because you chose to. That's the difference between income and wealth. That's the difference between looking successful and actually being free. Now, I want you to hear me on this. Even if you never fall into these first two traps, even if you pay more than your minimum every month and never let lifestyle inflation touch you, there is still one mistake that costs more than both of them combined. It's not dramatic. It doesn't feel like a mistake while it's happening. In fact, it sounds like the most reasonable plan in the world. And it has probably already started costing you. If this is already making you think differently about money, hit subscribe, because the next video in this series covers exactly how to build the habits that stop these leaks for good. Now the third trap. The most expensive one. Number 3. The most expensive thing you'll never see. This trap doesn't feel like a trap. Sounds like wisdom. Sounds like patience. It sounds like being a grown-up about your finances. It sounds exactly like this. I'll start investing once I pay off this debt. I'll start once I make a little more. Right now isn't the right time. I'll start next year. Every single one of those sentences sounds reasonable. Every single one of them quietly costs you more than almost anything else on this list. Because there is one resource in your financial life that cannot be earned back once it's spent. Not money, time. And the longer you wait to put that time to work for you, the more that decision costs in ways you will never see on any statement. Here's exactly what that cost looks like. Picture two people. Same age, same salary, same investment returns. The only difference between them is one thing. When they start, person A begins at 22. Just $300 a month. No windfall. No inheritance. No special advantage. They invest for 10 years. Then life changes: a house, a family, other priorities. They stop completely at 32. Never add another dollar. Person B waits until 32 to start. By then they feel ready. More income, more stability, more confidence. They invest that same $300 a month. And they do it for 33 years without stopping. 3 times longer. Significantly more money contributed overall. So person B wins easily, right? Person B often ends up with less money at retirement. Not close. Less. Person A, who contributed for only 10 years and never touched it again, often retires with significantly more wealth than someone who invested consistently for over 3 decades. That sounds impossible until you understand what was actually doing the work. Not a better salary. Not a smarter stock pick. Not luck. Compound growth. Every dollar you invest starts earning returns. Those returns earn returns. Then those returns earn returns on the returns. In the beginning it looks slow. Frustratingly slow. You check your balance a year in and barely anything has changed. But what's happening underneath is a foundation being built. And the further along that foundation grows, the faster everything above it accelerates. By the time person B starts at 32, person A's money has already been compounding for a decade. That head start doesn't just stay the same size. It grows every year. And trying to close a 10-year compounding gap by investing more money later is nearly impossible. That's what the delay actually costs. Not 1 year. Every single year of future growth that was supposed to build on top of that foundation. Here's the part that makes this trap so effective. The delay never feels like a decision. Feels like a temporary pause. Feels like waiting until you're ready. But here's the truth your future self will eventually have to sit with. The right moment doesn't come. Life doesn't get cheaper. Unexpected expenses don't stop arriving. There will always be a perfectly reasonable explanation for waiting 1 more month. 1 more year. 1 more once things settle down. And before you realize it, 5 years are gone. Then 10. Now here is the most important thing I'm going to say in this entire video. The amount you start with matters far less than you've been told. If all you can start with today is $20, start with $20. If it's $50, start with $50. If it's $100, start with $100. Because right now the goal is not building wealth. Right now the goal is building the clock. Starting the timer. Getting time working on your side while you're busy living your present life. Because once that clock is running, it never stops. Most people spend their entire careers trying to earn more money. Very few people understand that making time itself work for them is the most powerful financial move available to anyone at any income level. And the moment you understand that, one question disappears from your vocabulary forever. When should I start? And a different question takes its place. How much has every month I've waited already cost me? That is the question that changes everything. None of these traps announce themselves. None of them feel dangerous while they're happening. Paying the minimum feels responsible. Rewarding yourself after a raise feels deserved. Waiting until you're ready feels sensible. That's exactly what makes them effective. But here's what I want you to take away from this video. You don't need to overhaul everything. You don't need a perfect budget or a financial advisor or a windfall. You need one better decision, made consistently starting now. Because the difference between the person who quietly builds real wealth and the person who always feels like they're almost there is rarely income. It's awareness. And now you have it. So before your next paycheck arrives, I want you to sit with one honest question. Where is your money quietly leaking right now? Because the moment you can answer that clearly, wealth stops being something that happens to other people. It becomes something you're building. Drop in the comments, which of these 3 traps hit closest to home for you? I read every single one. And if you want more videos that break down the real psychology behind money, wealth, and financial decisions, without the usual fluff, hit subscribe. Because the next video builds directly on what you just learned. And you're going to want to see it. I'll see you there.